Welcome back to episode 306 of the Craftverse series, where we're continuing our underground bunker storage extension. Now we have to finish ripping out the rest of this corridor, but I discovered something interesting when I went into first-person view again. This is first person, and this makes my skin look like a first-person shooter to some degree. Yeah, it's kind of odd. Anyway, back to shenanigans. Going to remove all of this ugly stone. It's not that it's explicitly gross or disgusting or anything, it's just not what we're trying to have in our palette. It won't be visible at all once we move forward, so let's just get rid of it. Now, I could do the majority of this repetitive building off camera, but I feel like I've robbed you guys of a lot of content by doing that. And part of the challenge is being, honest with how you're building. Keeping to the 2 hours as best you can per week. Now, you could say the challenge has been long over, because this was initially just for the span between the inception of the idea and implementation of AM Community SMP. However, I'm continuing with the challenge long after it's been, a thing. In fact, you can join the SMP at any time. Just have to sub to Moz or Ace Royalty on Twitch. About the only Twitch plug you'll see from my channel moving forward. I don't use that platform anymore. I use Kick and YouTube. And this is the finished visual product of the storage setup. Only thing missing is the actual chests, and those will be added in a little bit later. I did bring a shulker full of chests, so I'll be good to go. I also need to dig out this wall, but luckily there's none of these little cubbies in it. It's just straight all the way down. So let's just put away all of this useless junk, and then we'll go in on doing that. First, I have to add in this little cubby station, which I never got around to doing last episode. And then the only thing missing is these 4 blocks, and then the 2 on the exits. So we'll go ahead and remove that. We'll do that. Everything is really tightly compacted in here. Then we want to go there, and then just drag across so it meets. And then repeat with this. And another nearly finished wall. Let's go ahead and expand this out just a little bit. Gonna bring you all the way down. Pop the top out. Replace with stair. Replace bottom with full block. And then you get your cubby station blocks underneath that. This just saves you a little bit of unnecessary block breaking. Some perfectionists might have you say, no, we have to dig out every single relevant block in the entire build shape. But even though I have a multitude of duped blocks, trying to preserve my stuff to some degree. Alright, so now we rip these out. You there. Gonna have to grab the other blocks momentarily. Alright, we're gonna be leaving these for the time being. Actually, I can go ahead and replace that. That's fine. That gets another torch out of there. But the top and bottom is going to be slightly different. This finishes off the hallway to the best I can do without having those additional blocks. So let's stack you. And then we grab cubby block. There we go. Actually, since I've already finished these in here, just plop these in. Then I can finish the borders of it and be good. You over there I have not yet done. But this isn't going to change much. And we plunk you, and you, and then the rest of the walls will be done when I get to that side. Now we can start ripping out this. Drag this all the way down. Good, it placed the right block. Changing the walls won't change the lighting in here, so this is fine. All the relevant lighting is on these divides, I just won't do those yet. When I get to the next layer down, I have to be a bit more cautious with removing these back walls because there's a lava pool. It's going to be a slight problem. And luckily I have the enchanted golden apple surplus, but still. Okay, wall number 3. Now we break out all of this nonsense. I'm not going to need the bed, so I'll swap that out for the shovel. While I'm down here and I'm not in any danger of mob activity, I don't actually have to sleep. Okay. All right. So now we've got the border in, ready to go. It's just getting the rest of these done, but I don't want to do that until I already have my lighting figured out. So let's prepare to get the lighting in. Pick up as many of these unnecessary stones as possible. My inventory is looking quite a bit cleaner now. Time to muck it up. Take those, that's going to be in the ceiling. And then, I don't know if that'll be enough actually. We're going to find out. Stretch the jungle wood all the way down, and you can use whatever blocks you want, to be fair. If you're trying to do a similar build. I'm just trying to make an accurately scaling gradient, because this up here is a little bit lighter. I've got the green moss carpet, And we're going to be covering over this very brightly colored stuff with similarly darker carpet, which is what this is here for. Don't think that's going to be quite enough, so I'm just going to grab another one. Now, I'm not going to be putting any of that fancy moss in these entryways. This is going to have the visible wood. Just like there isn't any regular moss in the birch area. There's only 2 colors of moss currently, so what kind of carpets am I going to use in the darker area? Well, hopefully we get to that this week. If not, we'll get to it next week, and I'll show you then. This project does take quite a bit of time. It's not something I would do if, you don't have an abundance of additional time to invest in it, and you don't really know what you're going to put in these storage areas. I kind of have a feeling of some of the items I want to shove in here. Stuff that's good for building, mostly. I want to kind of have the majority of my building blocks in here instead of in my base. Save the base for personal achievements and such. Okay, that's the floor in. Let's get the ceiling in. My base had been far too laggy for far too long, so let's try and spread the lag just a little bit. Trying to extend resource management. Give myself a reason to venture into other builds once in a while. So I know you guys all get tired of seeing the same base every friggin' episode. My videos do much better when I'm out adventuring or building something new or at least showcasing new things once in a while. So I'm trying to give you guys a little bit of what you want while extending my ability to build new cool things. The best way I can do that is to disperse this abundance of lag by not making my original survival base a chunk ban. And currently, if it were to be exploded by 2 charged creepers or a bunch of TNT, which I am not advising you do a download and try. Yeah, I would be locked out because I wouldn't have anybody far enough away that the chunks wouldn't be an issue. Most of my accounts stay logged out around the base or main island area. So it becomes a slight logistical issue. Okay, you know what? It's time to put in some of these here chests. Where's my chest box? Now that I actually have all of this over here, I can just use the wall, because these aren't going to be affected much. Put you right there. Your flooring, but you're going to go right there. Okay, good. That still opens. And I have something I don't want. Full ore. Let's grab some of these here chests. Make sure that opens. It does, because there's a stair up there. I can clean up my floor just a little bit. Use these hallways as the storage item junk. Actually, let's just do that. That way I can use my axe and just break this. I'm just going to put everything up there. Nice and easy. Right, so that is my throwaway junk box for the moment. Cleans up nicely. I'm going to need more of those. Before I get too far into that, where's my lights? So that is going to take out all the torches if I do that. So I am officially too far away from the haste beacon on this side. Okay, one half of the side done. Let's get this side. Will take about 2 stacks of lights just to get this, if not 4 additional, due to the centerpieces. Okay, now we have one more corridor to do. I love when it all just dematerializes instantly. Okay, and that is all of the lighting for this room. Now I just have to replace all those other blocks. That ought to be enough, I think. 2, 4, 6, 8. 16. Yeah, that's more than enough stairs. Perfect. Start with right here. And then just remove all of this nonsense in between. Okay, that's 1/4 in. Fortunately, this doesn't give me haste of any kind. The main issue I have with the add-ons I have on the Awkward Kingdom is speed on top of speed boots, among other things, is hard for me to maneuver around because the Switch doesn't process things at speed 3 rates. So I'll end up rubber banding or having something not place quite frequently, so I end up having to take my boots off. So be aware if you're on an older or less capable system when you're using potion effects. It might not be very kind to you. One more segment to do. And before I move on to the next area, I am going to have to run back to base and grab some of those regular chiseled. This is getting somewhat ridiculous. Okay, this room is done. Now I have a bunch of garbage blocks to put away. Still, I have not pulled up any tuff because that is a little bit deeper to the world than I am. That's not where I meant to put that. There we go, that works perfectly. Go pick up the rest of that junk. No reason to let good blocks despawn, right? Even though that's basically what I did when I hollowed this whole area out. This is already looking fundamentally better. Alright, so, as I said, before I move on, I have to go grab that regular tough, or the chiseled variety at least. So let's go do that. Should be able to just fly this one. Okay. Seems to be holding it together well. So the update did fix some things, even though it very clearly broke the enchanted shields. I might just put on a standard shield and see if it still does it. I'm not going to need that many of them, so I'll just grab a stack. Ow. You know how there's a stone generator, a cobblestone generator, and a basalt generator? I kind of wish there was a tough generator. That would be nice. I don't even know how exactly that would work. Alright. This is where all of the chiseled goes as markers of divide. But they only go up to these cubby holes. As well as on these corner bits. As I said, I don't need that many of them. I do just need some. Just to fill out the layout. And now it's fully done. We have 2 full rooms ready to go, and only 1 more room to do, and then the cubbies. We can probably fit both of the cubbies and this hallway into the next episode. Just gonna put these in here, and these away for now. Alright, let's grab some of these, because it's time to at least get one of these hallways carpeted up. Now the wonderful thing about Hail is it likes to extend upwards an extra block randomly. That is not the look that I'm going for, so we're going to remove those extra highs. Okay, it looks better. Won't do it on stairs, but it will do it on full blocks. It's haphazard of when it will do it. But if it goes too long without doing it, I think it does it automatically. And then you don't have to worry about that, obviously, for the divides. So that is what this hallway is meant to look like. Just a little bit gray. Little dingy, moving into a darker area further down. Actually, we're just going to go ahead and add in all of them. As it doesn't really hurt anything to get it done and out of the way. Let's get rid of all of these 2 talls, because I don't want them. Then again, for the most part, they're going to be removed anyway once I break the wall it's up against. But still, I don't like to look at it. Nothing to connect to now, unless I do that. Oi. That's why regular moss is indeed better. That is all of the pale moss that I am going to need for this entire build. So that is essentially just useless now. Can just leave you right there. You're not hurting anything. And then we're going to get to the remainder of this build after the fact. Thank you for watching, and hopefully you'll stick with me for the next segments of this build. And if you would like to make a variation yourself, what recommendation would you place as far as which wood types, what stone variants? Would you mix it up with some regular stone, tough, deep slate, basalt, stuff like that? What kind of changes would you make to the palette? Because that might influence a fourth layer. I already have a third done. It's just not implemented yet. You might see the stairwell behind me. Not sure if you can. It's kind of all stone and andesite at the moment, so it's all kind of hard to see. It's part of the reason the tough breaking up with the regular stone brick or regular tough brick and the chiseled tough brick is a nice little subtle shift in tone. It's going to be easier to see moving forward, but I'll see you in the next one.